Make some noise, Neshoba County. Good morning, Neshoba. Now, today is a historic day. The youngest speaker ever to speak to the Neshoba County Fair is here. I'm the youngest speaker to ever graze the stage. I'm 19 years old. Whenever I signed the paper, I was 18. I read in the Bible of two 19-year-olds. One's David. David faced Goliath. Whenever David faced Goliath, he didn't talk about the fears of going up against Goliath, but he talked about how good God was. That's what I'm going to begin with, is God. And another one, the other person who also was 19 was Joshua. Joshua led his people over into the promised land, as we know. And we know that God didn't call the old 50, 60-year-old man in the back after Moses had passed. He passed on the torch because we understand that Moses was the greatest leader in Israel's history, but he chose the young man to lead his people over into the promised land. And since I'm running for Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, I want to help lead my people over into the land of milk and honey. Because as Martin Luther King said, the time's always right to do what's right. Now, I'm the first statewide candidate to visit all 82 counties. So if you live in a county and say you ain't seen me, well, we can fix that easily because I've been to every county in the state of Mississippi. Others go on about, experience and leadership, but I ask, where has it been? Whenever, the former education chair tried to take away funding from public schools because I'm not rich enough to go to a private school. Whenever they took away money to go to a public school and put them in the private schools, what was the experience and leadership? When minority farmers were asking for equal treatment, and minority goes for poor whites, women, blacks, and all the other minorities you want to speak of, what was our experience and leadership? When 50 million poultry birds died, and we have Mississippi State. Are any Hale State members in here tonight? Make some noise, Hale State. Now, we have two of the greatest agricultural universities, arguably, in the nation. But whenever 50 million poultry birds died, and which skyrocketed eggs and things of that nature, we didn't call upon them. Somebody say that ain't right. It's not right when we have two. And also, why do we only have two? We have the most junior colleges in the United States of America. We have, some of the greatest minds to ever come. We have Morgan Freemans and we have B.B. Kings, and we can go on and on and on. But we have to tap into these young people. And I can say we're not tapping into the young people enough because I am a young person. I am somebody who actually goes out and speaks to people. Why do we only have two? Why doesn't Jackson State University have an agriculture program? I understand the Commissioner of Agriculture does not have any say-so over it, but a closed mouth does not get fed. And I plan on the people in the state of Mississippi to get fed because too long we've been starving, and too long we've been starving for a message, too long we've been starving literally with poverty, too long we've been starving with false people who get up here and talk about what they're going to do with it, but whenever it gets time to stop talking about it and do policy, they just don't do it. We want something new in this state, and we're tired of the same old, and with me you get something new. We have to have a belief, an unyielding hope. Not unyielding hope in me, because government can't solve all your problems, but unyielding hope in God. It's something bigger than man. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you and me. It's God. We have to bring God first in everything we do, because we have to believe in we the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union. Not only the United States, but this state. We want to form a more perfect union because we hold these truths to be self-evident, that not only all men, but all men and women are created equal. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty not for some, but for all. We have to believe in things not seen. Now, we have the highest grocery tax in the United States for the poorest state in the United States. Somebody say that ain't right. We have to pay a 7% grocery tax. We are one of only 3 states in which pay a grocery tax, and we just don't pay it. We pay it the highest rate, and we're the most poorest state in the United States. 21% of our people live in poverty. Somebody say that ain't right. Now, we have some of the greatest minds, like I said, And a lot of these kids can't even afford to go to college. Where are the scholarships for these kids? Where are the people who are going to fight for the scholarships for our next generation? Because we have to pass the torch on one way or the other. I talked to farmers in all 82 counties because we have farmers in all 82 counties. And the biggest thing, I heard one farmer actually cry on the phone with me. He said because he had five sons, I believe he said 5 sons, all boys, and he had, I think, 15 grandkids and all. But not one of them wanted to take up the land. He said the main reason he believes is because they didn't grow up on it. We should have future farmers of America in each and every school and help the Department of Education as much as we can so they don't have to do it. You know, labor shortages is a real thing. It is not just for the workforce because people don't want to work anymore, but it's mainly for the farmers too. Raise your hand out there if you don't want to eat lab-grown chicken. I don't want to be bucking like a chicken whenever after I eat a chicken leg. Now these are some of the real things that we're facing here in this state. Now, next time you see me in the Neshoba County Fair, I don't want to have any wings, and I don't want to go up there and be bucking, okay? But if we bring future farmers of America and try to help out our kids and try to help these universities see what they need, meet people at where they're at, then maybe we can get things done in the state on the agriculture industry. Because the state of Mississippi at one point, we were one of the richest states in the United States. I want to get back to that point. I want to get back to that time. Now, I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth. But the only reason I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth is because my mother and father spray painted that plastic spoon silver. Now, I always get that reaction. But it's things that we have to have. Like there's another thing that's affecting our farmers. And in fact, it's going to affect us later on because if you think grocery prices are high right now, wait till you finish hearing this. Now, a big thing with our farmers is they say they don't have land. They don't have the opportunity to get land. I will go up to Washington and I will meet with Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack, and I will meet with President Biden, hopefully, or whoever the president. If President Trump gets in there, President Biden, I don't care who you are, because I believe in a bipartisanship democratic republic. Because at the end of the day, this isn't the Democratic States of America, this isn't Republican States of America, but it's the United States of America, and it's about time for us to become united. Now, whenever I go up and meet them, I'm going to fight for our farmers to get land. Too many of our farmers do not have enough land. One big thing that I've heard from the farmers is they say they're having land, they're having to lease out from that they're leasing on. The owners are actually spiking up the rates on it. Somebody say that ain't right. Now, it's not right if you're spiking up the rates and you're blaming it on inflation, but you're spiking it up at 300% than the average what you usually do. 300% more than people in Nebraska and North Dakota have. Simply not right. So one of the things I'm going to fight is land ownership. I want to bring land grants, because if we have enough money to do all the other things in which we're doing, we should have enough money for the farmer, for the people who feed us. Now, I'm new to it, but I'm true to it, and I believe that with a faith in God that I can strive through it. Now, we have people in the state who steal $91 million, who get up here and talk about what God says so little, and so little about what God says so much. But in this election, you have something different. You have a young man. You have a man who truly believes he was called by God. I remember growing up, I remember COVID. I remember the year 2020. I remember COVID distinctively because I lost my father to COVID. I lost my last living grandparent to COVID, my grandmother. After my father died, my mother and father were married for about 16, 17 years. That was one of the hardest days because my father went in the hospital on August 2nd. My mother went in August 7th. Both of them were on high oxygen ventilators, things of that nature. But you know how good God is. God saved my mother, and I'm glad to see my mother right here. So can we give her a round of applause? My mother's still here. So if you hear somebody screaming, just understand that, that's my mother, okay? Please don't think anybody hurt. But my name is Terry Rogers. I hope you vote Terry Rogers II for Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce. Remember the two people I named, David and Goliath. I mean, not David and Goliath, David and Joshua. Help Joshua lead his people over into the promised land. Help a young man, because you never know what God has in store. Big things come in small packages. and it takes a short time to make a small package. So we help elect a young man, and whenever I'm elected, I'm bringing a broom because it's a mess. Thank you, and God bless you in Neshoba County.